Hello and welcome to Ryder's Blockbuster. My name is Creed, and I have an amazing and incredibly strange movie for you today. Imagine if David Cronenberg directed Inception, but instead of being based on dreams, it revolved around a man who was obsessed with television and acquiring the most perverse imagery he could find. The concept of this movie is bizarre, confusing, and asks the question, what if the things we watch could change our flesh? So tune your antennas and thank your cathodes as we talk about what happens in Videodrome. Also, there will be spoilers in this breakdown, so you've been warned. We open on a man named Max Wren. He runs a TV channel that specializes in, let's say, eccentric videos. He's recently bought some Japanese films, but they aren't scratching the particular itch that he's looking for.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
He's in search of something special, something unique, but he's not really sure what that something is. He meets his friend Harlan, who uses a satellite to tune into private channels, and he's had some success tuning into something. The short scene that they capture is torturous and weird. It's set in a room filled with what they think is electrified clay, and despite the short runtime, Max is very interested in the full content. He asks Harlan to continue to tune in to the source and inform Max of any more of the film that he's able to capture. Max has an interview on a talk show with his two guest stars, Nikki Brand and Brian Oblivion. Max is asked why he produces the content that he does.
Well, it's a matter of economics, Rena. We're small. In order to survive, we have to give people something they can't get anywhere else. And we do that.
It's clear that Rena King, the talk show host, does not approve of what Max is producing. But when the questions turn to Nikki, she admits that part of her is interested in things like that due to her constant state of overstimulation, and Max immediately begins to put the moves on her. In an interview, Debbie Harry, who plays Nikki, admitted to wanting to play this character because it was a near opposite of who she was perceived to be. In this movie, she's not the happy-go-lucky blonde singer, but instead a red-headed deviant who is not afraid to pursue her unconventional interests. While Max and Nikki are flirting, Rena turns her attention to Brian Oblivion. Brian comments that he believes that the television has become the retina of the mind's eye, and states that he believes in this concept so much that he now only ever physically arrives to places via the television. Harlan has found the video and has determined the location of the broadcast as a studio in Pittsburgh, as well as its title, which is Videodrome. Max visits Nikki at her radio station and brings her home. She wants to watch something to help set their mood, and plays the VHS recording of Videodrome. Nikki seems to enjoy the recording, and they end up
doing the horizontal tango.
In the thralls of their passion, it seems as though they are transported into Videodrome itself. But when they calm back down, it's not clear if that was just their inner thoughts being presented, or something else entirely. Max meets with a woman named Masha, who is one of his acquisitioning agents, and asks her to try to find the producers of Videodrome. That night, Nikki says that she's going on a 2-week assignment to Pittsburgh, and states that she wants to audition to be on Videodrome. Max is against the idea, stating that the things they do will be far too intense even for someone with her tastes, but she pays his warning no mind. A few days later, Max meets with Masha.
Videodrome is something for you to leave alone. It is definitely not for public consumption.
She believes that the things shown are not from actors at all, but are completely real. Max presses her for more information, and she tells him to contact Brian Oblivion. Max goes to a place called the Cathode Ray Mission, which uses TVs to help treat and rehabilitate people. During this scene, we see dozens of moving parts and actors all flowing as one and depicting a fairly realistic idea of what a place like this would be like. It's one of the many charming things that I think this film does really, really well, and each time I watch it, I feel impressed all over again. We meet Bianca Oblivion, and she allows Max to join her in her office so that he can speak with her father. But when he asks if the professor is in, she states,
I am my father's screen.
It's not true. That's impossible.
She tells him that her father won't see anyone in person, but will send him a VHS monologue if Max leaves her with a list of questions. But when Max says the word Videodrome, she tenses. Max leaves, and that night he's cleaning his pistol when he gets a knock on his door. His secretary Bridie enters and drops off a cassette that was delivered to Max's studio. She also informs him that she contacted Nikki's radio station, and they told her that she was not put on an assignment anywhere, and that Nikki actually took a month-long vacation. When Bridie tries to play the tape, Max runs over to her and slaps her. When she pulls away, Max sees her as Nikki for a moment, but when he comes to, Bridie is staring at him, and it seems as if she was never hit at all.
Are you all right? Bridie, I didn't mean to hit you.
Hit me? You didn't hit me.
No.
I did not hit her. I did not.
When Max opens the tape that was delivered to him, it breathes, causing him to drop it. He picks up the tape, now seeming completely normal, and plays it. Brian Oblivion begins monologuing, stating that the battle for the mind's eye will be fought within a cathode battlefield, which he calls Videodrome. Max rolls his eyes, believing it to be an old recording, but then Oblivion addresses him by name. He states that he's been through what Max is going through now, saying that his world is going to become strange and his hallucinations will get worse. He reveals that he was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and that he believes that the hallucinations caused the tumor and not the other way around.
But when they removed the tumor, it was called Videodrome. I was Videodrome's first victim.
Max asks the television what Videodrome wants, and then the torturer takes off her mask, and it's revealed to be Nikki. She addresses his question and begins goading him to join her. The television begins to breathe and pulsate with veins, and then the screen bulges outward as Nikki speaks. Max places his face against the screen and it begins to enter. And then we cut to the next day. We go back to Bianca Oblivion's clinic, and Max tells her that the tape she sent set off a series of hallucinations.
I woke up with a headache.
First time ever.
No, I've been hallucinating for a while, ever since...
What?
Since I first saw Videodrome.
Bianca tells Max that Videodrome is a type of weaponized experiment that causes brain tumors and can be delivered via almost any form of television. She thought Max was working for the people who created it, and didn't realize that he was also a victim. Max then demands to see her father, but when she shows him her father's office, she shows Max what remains of Brian Oblivion. Inside the office are thousands of tapes. She says that her father died 11 months ago and left only his recordings behind to act as who he once was. When Max mentions that he saw the recording of Brian Oblivion respond during the interview, and during his own personal tape, Bianca tells him that her father helped to create Videodrome, but saw its danger and tried to have it hidden or destroyed. And as a result, his partners had him killed. He made these recordings believing that his televised life could live on in his place. This answer shows us that Bianca is just as confused by the recordings as Max, though she seems to understand some things that Max just isn't ready for yet. She hands Max a stack of tapes and sends him out. Max visits Harlan and asks if he's been having hallucinations as well, but Harlan says that he hasn't been. Max then goes home and watches the Oblivion tapes. He's begun to develop a rash on his stomach, but when he scratches it, Max has another hallucination, this time of the rash opening and creating a wound in his stomach. He tries to scratch at the wound with his gun, but he's unable to pull his hand out. After some struggling, his hand releases, and when he looks back, the opening is gone, but his gun is also missing. He then gets a phone call from a man informing him that he has information about Videodrome, and has sent a car to pick him up. On the car ride over, a tape plays, introducing us to Spectacular Optical and the man in charge, Barry Convex. Barry says that his company creates glasses for third world countries, missile guiding systems for NATO, and they also created Videodrome. Barry admits that Max tapped into test signals that were supposed to be completely blocked and now wishes to help him recover from the signal's effects. Max enters Spectacular Optical. Barry meets him in the lobby before taking him to the back where they have a machine that can record Max's hallucinations. He believes that they may be able to analyze the hallucinations and may be able to help Max with what they find. In a behind-the-scenes interview, it's revealed that a body double was used for James Woods during this scene because both Cronenberg and the practical effects specialist were afraid that this prop would electrocute the actor. Through the VR vision, we see Max's hallucinations begin. Nikki shows up, stating that they are both where they wanted to be and they have finally made it to Videodrome. Nikki appears on the television while Max is in a room made of clay. He begins to whip the TV, but when we see the screen, we now see it as Masha and not Nikki. Max jumps awake in his room, staring at the finished Oblivion tape, and believes it all to have been a hallucination. But when he turns in his bed, he sees Masha, tied up, gagged, and dead. He calls Harlan and begs him to come over. He asks the man to go into his room and see if there is anything in his bed, unsure if Masha was a hallucination or not. Harlan comes out a few seconds later, stating that he doesn't see anything there. Max then asks to meet him in the studio to see if they've caught any new footage of Videodrome. When he gets to the studio, Harlan tells Max that there was no recording captured the night before, and that there has never been any recording of Videodrome at all. He then says that they brought in the big guns for help, and in walks Barry Convex. Suddenly we notice how nice Harlan's glasses are, and we remember who else was a connoisseur of fine eyewear. Max puts the pieces together and figures that Harlan was working for Barry all along, with his mission being to expose Max to Videodrome. And when asked why, Harlan says,
"Now you and this cesspool you call a television station, and your people who wallow around in it, and your viewers who watch you do it, you're rotting us away from the inside. We intend to stop that rot."
Barry intends to use Max's studio to expose those who they believe are scum to the dangerous signal. He shows Max a tape which begins to heavily breathe and demands he opens up. Max's stomach opens and Barry shoves the tape inside. Harlan and Barry leave and Max tries to crawl after them, hearing Barry's voice in his head the entire time.
"We want channel 83, Max. Give it to us. Give us channel 83. Kill your partners. Kill them."
Max then tries to pull the tape from his stomach, but when he pulls his hand out, he's holding his pistol. His flesh and the gun begin to merge, now making the gun permanently gripped in his hand. Max then walks into a studio. He walks into the conference room where his partners are watching another film. Without saying a word, Max raises his gun and shoots his partners. He grabs his stomach and pretends that a gunman came in and killed his partners, making a clean getaway. He flees to the cathode ray mission, hearing Barry's demanding voice command him to kill Bianca Oblivion. He finds Bianca, and when he addresses her, he sounds robotic and confused. She knows that he's not really Max.
You're an assassin now for Videodrome. They can program you. They can play you like a videotape recorder. They can make you do what they want. And they want you to destroy whatever is left of Brian Oblivion.
Max pulls out his gun, and we see his flesh has morphed even further. Bianca runs through her clinic and shows Max a recording of Nikki being killed by Videodrome. Max is shocked and backs away as the TV begins to bulge out with a hand that looks exactly like his, also holding a pistol. The gun shoots, and suddenly the image changes to be of Max's chest, now filled with bullet holes. Max falls to his knees, grabbing at his chest, and Bianca tells him that she has now removed and reprogrammed the tape in his stomach. She tells Max that he's become something different now. He's become the video word made flesh.
I am the video word made flesh.
Now that you are the video word made flesh, you know what you have to do.
She tells Max to turn against Videodrome and change his mindset to praise the new flesh.
Death to Videodrome. Long live the new flesh.
The next day, Max goes to Spectacular Optical and finds Harlan in the back office. He pretends that he's completed the mission and states that he's killed Bianca. Harlan pulls out a tape made of flesh and asks Max to open up. He pushes the tape into Max's stomach, but is unable to remove his hand. We see that Harlan now supports an odd contraption on his wrist, and when he backs away, we see what it was all along: a grenade. Max goes to the optics convention and finds Barry giving a speech on the main stage. He stands and shows the optical specialist his flesh gun before shooting the man in the head.
Get the Videodrome! Long live the new flesh!
We see Barry's body begin to flail around before it morphs and disfigures. Max flees to an abandoned boat. Inside the rusty vessel, he rubs at his head, realizing what he's done and not understanding what his life has become. When he removes his hand, he sees that a TV has appeared, and on the screen, Nikki begins to speak. She informs Max that death is not the end, and that he has hurt Videodrome, but he hasn't destroyed them yet. She tells him that he needs to go all the way, transform entirely into the new flesh, and he tells her that he's ready. Nikki tells him that in order to become new, he must kill what is old, and that she can show him how. She then shows him an image of himself on the TV, kneeling and placing the gun to his head. The TV image praises the new flesh before the TV explodes with viscera and gore. Then, Max stands and his reality becomes what the TV had just shown. He raises his gun and pulls the trigger.
Long live the new flesh.
So, what is Videodrome? Is it a weapon, a tool, an idea, or was it all just a hallucination? The concepts and imagery in this film are perverse and spectacular. It's a movie that kept me guessing throughout, and each time I was given answers, it only ended up raising more questions. It almost seems as if the characters in the film are discovering their own concepts, their own truths as the story progresses, but each twist and each discovery only leads them to become hardened and somewhat disfigured by their own rationality. This movie seems to have a somewhat definitive ending, but once you think back on what exactly happened, you realize that any one of the answers we were given along the way could be the truth, making the ending become even more tragic as you think. Is this all just a hallucination, with Brian Oblivion acting as Max's subconscious? Was this a weapon that was accidentally leaked to Max and caused him to experience vivid and disturbing hallucinations until his only option was suicide? Or did Max truly just become a vessel, programmed by VHS tapes that were inserted into his stomach? Which answer makes the most sense, and which one is the truth? Well, whatever the answer is, I love this movie. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to leave a like as well as subscribe. And if you'd like to see more of the movies that we've covered on this channel, don't forget to check the All Titles playlist. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Oh yeah, and long live the new flesh. Bye-bye.
On your avatar, no matter what app you're using. So we're going to see more creators, developers, and brands experimenting with this.
Okay, there's one more feature coming soon that's probably the most requested feature on our roadmap. Legs.